have been hurt in a way. You've been hurt or disappointed by family. We each have, in a way, actually been able to experience this. But also, secondly, I would ask to look at this other question. How have you managed to avoid putting more bruises on your heart? With all that has happened, finally, what have you done to be able to avoid it? I would like to interest each and every one of us to read the scripture in Ezekiel 23. Read the whole of it. It's a long one from verse 1 to 49. It clearly gives a picture of what it means to be bruised, what it means to be hurt, and also what it is that you're able to do to get out of it. Humanly speaking, we oftentimes get hurt. But God is amazing in the way he does things. He knows certain things are bound to happen, but he also gives a way out. He gives you the answer sheet before he even gives you the questions. Because when the time for the questions come, then you actually have the answers, because none of us can say we do not know what to do, because the Bible is our answer sheet and it is very clear about what we ought to do, about all life's challenges that we may encounter at whatever level, at whatever stage in life. As a child, as a young person, as an adult, as a married man, as a married woman, there is something that you know you are able to do through the clear instruction that is given to us in the Bible. And looking at it, I want to I chose to look at it from this point of view, that if we are hurt, and when we are hurt, I will not ask when you were hurt, because you each know when you were hurt. But it is a difficult time usually that one has to go through. I have been hurt. I will not say I am immune to being hurt. I have certainly suffered and gotten a good share of it. And it has bruised me so much that I have reached a point where I decided, not again in my own will and in my own strength, it has been God that has helped me to get out of it. But when you're talking about this hurt, we are talking about not just physically being hurt. We are talking about the hurt of emotions being hurt, your heart feeling the pain. You know, it's emotional. You're feeling this pain here that you ordinarily wouldn't want to actually experience. So you are experiencing it. And you cannot say, I wish it did not happen, or it didn't happen, or I would avoid it. It is a part of our life's experiences that we can never avoid. If you are lucky to be married and you have a spouse and they have never hurt you, praise be to the living God. But you see, we are two human beings that are brought up in two different families with different sets of values that come together and agree to live together. You're meeting this person after 25 years, after 30 years of their life, living in a different environment, and you are living in a different environment, but you're supposed to come together and agree to live together. Certainly, you're bound to disagree. You're bound to hurt each other, but it is a decision that you individually make, that we purpose to make sure that we are walking together this journey of marriage. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. But even when we work in places of work, you go to school, and after 20 years, 25, you find a place to work, and still sometimes we get hurt even at our places of work. We get hurt by even our own family members that we have grown up with all these years. Sometimes they do things that disturb us, and you're wondering, is this my brother? Is this my sister? Is this my mother? Is this my father? I have heard statements of people say, if my mother could do that to me, then what else? I mean, I have nothing left. I cannot. And you find a child who cannot speak with their mother. You find a child who cannot see eye to eye with their mother because their mother hurt them so deep. It is not the physical hurt. It is an emotional bit of it that you're feeling hurt. And why does this happen? It's because we have chosen to trust this person here, and we think they should not be. They would never hurt us. They would have our best interests at heart. But unfortunately, we are human. And people change, and seasons change, and people get tired of certain things and choose to behave in certain ways. So we need to be mindful when we are doing whatever we are doing. So that sometimes when people, I have had statements of people saying, you do not test the water with 2 legs, you test with 1 leg. Unfortunately, in marriage, you can't say you'll test with 1 leg. It is either you're in or you are in. There is no option of you're in or you're out. Today I'm married, tomorrow I am not married. How I wish that option was there. Maybe it would be different. Then none of us would even be in the marriages anyway. Because then if you would get hurt, you'd just decide to say, you know what? This is not interesting anymore. Let me go. But you see, God guides us differently. From the book of Genesis, when he says that, chapter 28, when he says that, and the man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And then it's a full stop at the end. Okay? There is nothing else. He shall leave his mother and father. He shall cleave to his wife. The two shall become one flesh. And then it is a full stop. There is no option there. I mean, there are very many things that are happening nowadays, and we are wondering, but you know what? Are you being realistic? You know, there is this that is happening. People are getting hurt and they are walking away. It is not an option. When Hosea was asked to marry a prostitute, there was not an option given to him that now that this woman is a prostitute, Hosea, when she reaches a point, you walk away and you leave her. God didn't give Hosea that option. He told Hosea, marry her. The woman left him in the house and went out and slept with other men. But God told him, go out and look for her. And very obediently, Hosea went and looked for his wife and he brought him back home. Now, I imagine if that was to be in our time, whether somebody would be confident enough to do that, where you know your wife is sleeping out there with everyone else she finds, and then you bring her back home and you say, this is my wife. Okay? Friends, if God can be gracious enough, because I know that this is a demonstration that God used to show how rebellious Israel was. But in today's context, I will say how rebellious we as his children are, because indeed we have rebelled so badly, friends. We cannot even stand up there and we say we are a good people. No, we are not. You know, we are a very wicked generation. We have become people that are actually sugar-coated. We are double-faced people. When we are in the presence of God, we think we are actually pretending and giving God the best side of us. But you see, friends, God is not man that we can actually twist him. God is not man that we can lie, because he knows our thoughts before we even bring them out. He knows what we are capable of doing, but he allows us the opportunity to be able to make the decision or not to make that decision. He allows us the opportunity to be able to shun evil and to walk away from it. And so he has given this demonstration from Hosea, and he's telling us that even then, when you bruise my heart so much, when he cries and he's like, you know what, you have hurt me so much, but then when we turn to him, he gives an opportunity. There is an olive branch extended to us, that when we go to him in repentance, God is able to forgive us. So what are we supposed to do as Christians when we are hurt? The question was, have you been hurt? And the answer is yes, we have all been hurt. What do we do when we get hurt? I will share from my personal experience. What do I do? Of course, humanly speaking, I go silent. Humanly speaking, I cry. I cry, by the way, I cry. And for me, it is a good way because I'm able to release the emotions. If I don't cry, I do not know what I would do, because I can think of 1,000 things. I'm like, if this person crosses my sight like this, I should just jump into their neck like this and get them, probably shake them so hard and tell them how much they have hurt me. But I never get to do any of those things. I go back and I sit and cry. Okay, and that is one of the ways that I am actually being able to deal with this hurt here. Why am I saying what I'm saying, friends? In people that have gotten hurt and have gotten bruised, by the way, I will not say without making it your heart getting bruised. When you get hurt and you are actually bruised, people have been led through anger to do very many things that they would have ordinarily not done. And what are some of those things? We have seen people get hurt and get bruised. If they are married, we have seen the marriages break. Friends, you and me today, can attest to can agree with me that the rate at which Christian marriages are breaking, people are not separating, by the way, they are divorcing. And you see, people have been married for 2 years and then they are divorced. And then you ask for the reasons, and they're very trivial. I find them very trivial, really. There is one that I found, and they had divorced, and the reason was because this woman here is apparently, she does not cook food at home. And the woman says, apparently, me, I don't feel like cooking food, but also you did not bring what you promised to bring for the kwanzula to my parents. Friends, by the time you meet this poor boy here and you have accepted to get married to him, you yourself should know that this boy is poor. While your father is asking for 30 heifers, you should be able to tell your father, Daddy, my guy cannot afford 30 heifers. They don't even have two. They don't even have a local bull in their home. Where are they going to get a heifer? They have probably never looked at a heifer. So really, don't ask for those things. Be realistic. But if you decide to actually play along, and then you're also saying, yes, let him bring the things, and when he fails, then you want to use that against the young man, then I think you're not being fair, because then you've accepted to walk this journey. You even wait for the wedding. And after the wedding, you're saying, no, I cannot be with this man anymore. I think we get it wrong at that point. But two, what I'm trying to say is very many Christian marriages are failing over very trivial issues, over issues that I personally think are matters that can be handled without us actually going to court. We have had them break because of issues of infidelity. Okay? I do not want to say I support infidelity. Of course, I do not support it. But is it happening? Yes. Has it happened? Yes, it has happened. Even in Christian marriages. But sometimes I sit and I wonder how our parents did it. Not to say what they did was very right. Some of the things they did were not very good. But I mean, they had a mature way of dealing with things. Otherwise, if our parents were ranting and walking away like we walk away nowadays, none of us would have been brought up by two people in the same house. You get two people that have lived together for over 30 years, over 40 years, over 50 years. None of us would have been raised by those people. But they accepted to bear with each other's weaknesses. They accepted to bear with each other's faults. In those homes where we come from, friends, we have half brothers and half sisters. We have got step sisters and step brothers. We have got even those children that we discover on the day when our fathers die. Most likely when our fathers die, we discover there are new children that are actually being brought. Recently, you all heard about what was being said. I read about it actually. The recent judge who passed away, I happened to study with some of his children, and I only knew there were 6, and only for me to read in the news that there were actually 38 children. And I'm thinking, where did he get all these children here? That is a story of another day. But what I'm trying to say is they were gracious enough to be able to cover up each other's wrongs without us, the children, actually knowing. Many times in the homes we grew up and never even knew the people we were growing up with were not even our siblings, because our parents never segregated on them. They took us as all children. They will reprimand you, reprimand the other one. They would provide school fees for all of you. By the time you grow up and discover this one is actually a cousin to me, this one is actually probably a child to a friend which friend passed away and left this child to my father or to my mother, and they have raised them. Oh, this is just a child that had nowhere to belong, and they were brought home, and for us, we have grown up calling them our brothers and our sisters. That is the kind of generosity. It doesn't mean these people did not actually fail. It doesn't mean they actually didn't hurt each other. But we are seeing these trends increasing on the rise amongst us. In our generation, we are so intolerant. In our generation, we have failed to accept to deal with certain things in our lives. We are all over social media. There are those of us whose lives are basically on social media. Everything that is happening. There are people, you just need to be on Facebook, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on their WhatsApp status, and you will know everything that is happening in their lives. So when they have gotten a misunderstanding, just read the statuses. I have friends whose statuses I read, and then I will just know what is happening. I read a status and I know this is not an innocent status. I will immediately pick my call and ask what is happening. And indeed, my guesses have never been wrong. Many times there is something that is not going on well amongst them. And you're like, you know what? Pull down that post there. Can we talk about this? So friends, it is true that we have been hurt, and there are many reasons as to why we are actually hurt. We are hurt because the men have refused to accept our parents, our family members, or we have refused to accept the men's family members in their home. We don't want each other's relatives because we think the other one's relatives are wicked, and this one thinks your relatives are wicked. I mean, put that aside. Each of us is human enough. I know some of them have not been very welcoming on either side, and they rubbed us wrongly, and we are just carrying on grudges for a reason that is not going to help us really. Also, we have had people who have been hurt by colleagues, at places of work. We have gotten hurt. There is a lot of intrigue at places of work. There is a lot of selfishness. There is a lot of greed. There is a lot of backstabbing that takes place at places of work, especially in seasons where there is a growth opportunity and a promotion, where they are not giving it on merit and allowing it to work in the system of merit. People are going backdoor and they are paying monies, or they are going backdoor to soil others, or they're just determined to say, peace must leave this organization because she's my biggest threat. I know of someone who faced that because they were a threat for their boss. Their boss made sure they left the institution, and they left for good. And every time they tried to get a job in a similar institution, he would go there. And when he would learn of it, he would actually go there and talk to them and tell them, you know what, don't hire this person here. Until the person gave up working with a certain kind of institutions, and he decided to concentrate on only the other institutions that he would get that had no relationship with these ones per se. So it is important for us to take note of those things there. Whatever it is that I've not mentioned, what is causing you the hurt and the pain, it, list it down, and then we look at it. Is there anything we can do to avoid getting hurt? And I want to say, yes, there is something that we can do to avoid getting those bruises there, friends. One of the things that we can do, number one, is to pray about it. I have not found a lie in prayer, friends. I know that I have prayed when I have been hurt and I've actually gotten my relief. Not that the other person has stopped hurting me. No, friends. Not that that person has stopped doing what is hurting me. No. At this point, I am thinking about me, my well-being and my welfare as an individual. And for the sake of my well-being and my own sanity, the first thing I have done is to pray. I pray and ask God to give me the grace, because it takes grace. I'll not say that I have been able to do this as me. It has taken grace. I pray and ask God to give me the grace to be able to forgive, to be able to release, to be able to let go. For me, I have found a lot of solace in that. Prayer has actually worked magic for me, that I have reached a point where I feel I can't be left in the same room, in the same space with this person. I can't look at this person here. I don't want them to cross my paths. But unfortunately, they keep coming. Recently, something happened, and I was running away from one of my supervisors, and I just didn't want them to come anywhere near me. Unfortunately, opportunity availed every time. We would be in the same space. And they would call me, and now they don't call me by just one name. They call me by all the names, the three names. Hey, and then this one time, I decided I would not go to their office, but then I needed, because they are my supervisor, excuse me, I needed them to sign on a document. The moment I entered, before I presented what had taken me, they first asked me, so how are you? How are you as an individual? Don't tell me about work. I want to know about your welfare. How are you? How are you doing? How are you finding this? I looked at this guy and I'm thinking, God, what is happening? You know what exactly you did. I requested you for a change and you refused. And then you're asking me how I am. What do you expect me to tell you? And I just say, no, I am well, sir. It is okay. But I had prayed through it because it was very difficult for me. I had to pray and ask God to enable me to forgive this person, to release this person. Why? As a child of God, it's not taking me anywhere. As a child of God, it's just weighing me back. As a child of God, it's just going to breed anger and hatred in me, which, let me tell you, friends, every time you are actually angry, it weighs you down as an individual first before it affects the other party. Many times they don't even know that you are angry at them. Many times they don't even know that you are mad at them, but you're breeding such a bad character in you that is not going to be helpful. faithful. Then when we come to church on Sunday, you're also saying you lift up holy hands. Friends, we cannot pretend about certain things. Difficult as they are, the word of God commands us to actually forgive. Forgive because God has forgiven us. God doesn't forgive us because it's a simple thing to do. No, he forgives us because he knows that is the right thing for us. If he doesn't forgive us, then we cannot actually access him. We cannot actually be able to commune with him. We cannot actually be able to receive the grace that we actually do receive. So it is important that we forgive. I do this because I know I do not want my prayers to be hindered. Because I know if I am angry, my prayers, surely I'm just pretending about it. So me, I will pray and ask God to forgive. Just give me the grace to forgive. It will be my prayer item number 1, my prayer item number 2, my prayer item number 3, my prayer item number 4. On my list, if there are 10, it will be up to number 10. God, give me the grace to forgive. That is the importance that I attach to this. It is only God that gives you the grace to be able to forgive and to release, irrespective of what has happened, friends. I will at a later point share with you a story I had which sounded so strange, but yet very interesting. It takes a level of growth and maturity for one to be able to reach there. When we are talking about forgiveness and we're talking about all these, there are things that we need to be able to be mindful about. We need to know that the remorse, it takes the remorsefulness of one's heart, and it takes the other party being able to ask for forgiveness, or you being able to ask for forgiveness, speak it out. So we are using our hearts, we are using our tongues to be able to speak. Then we must be able to act. There must be a deliberate action to show that actually you are not going back at this. You need to be able to actually let go of it. You need to work at it. You cannot just say, okay, now that I said I am sorry, I am sorry. No, we need to be able to work at it. We need to purpose not to repeat this. We need to purpose not to repeat this. If we have hurt people, friends, let me give, of course, when we talk about being hurt, many times we are thinking about infidelity. Sometimes it's not even infidelity, friends, by the way. There are small things that are causing us hurt. As people that are married, ask yourself, for those that are married on the platform, really, what are those things that you are doing that are hurting your spouse? What are those things you have done that have hurt your spouse? Neglecting them alone is just good enough to hurt somebody. You are living with somebody in the same house, but you're not talking. And you're asking why you're not talking. You don't even have you can't even place a finger on why you are not talking. But it is hurting somebody. Somebody is seeking for your attention. You are ignoring them. I know that my sisters are very good at this, and we know how to ignore very well. And we shall ignore. And when we ignore, we really ignore in every aspect of the marriage. We ignore you physically. We ignore you spiritually. We ignore you even in the bedrooms. And then that is causing a lot of hurt for people. Then somebody is asking, but if you're ignoring me even in the bedroom, where do you expect me to go? Now, when I go out, you're going to say, I have gone out. But friends, it is difficult. It's because we are having very many unresolved issues. I do not want to justify any action taken by anybody. The truth is, we are all hurting, and we need to sit and face this. We need to sit and address this. Many of us are actually seeking counsel outside. There is somebody that I met who actually told me openly, I was struggling, and every time I shared my issues, I hope everyone on the platform is born again. I want to say this. We have let down each other. We are the reason as to why many of us have gone astray. We as Christians are responsible, and may God help us to check ourselves if we know we have contributed. May he give us the grace to go back, ask him for forgiveness, and to see to it that we pray for those people if we remember them. If we do not remember them, may the Holy Spirit remind us. And this, as your sister shares with me and tells me, I stopped sharing my issues with brethren because every time I would share with them, then I would become a topic of discussion. And then everyone around would know what is happening to me. So I decided, because I was going through a lot of abuse in the marriage, I decided I would go to a bar and I would find my friends in the bar. Please take note, this person used not to drink. This person used not to drink. They would go to the bar because they would find a lot of fun there. People talk. You know, they pretend and say when you drink alcohol, you forget your problems. There is no problem. You forget the truth. You just postpone them for a little while and the problems are there. You get. Now, this person here would go there because they would find solace. Because these people would listen to her and she would never hear these things anywhere. And they are the ones who began advising her. I want to tell you, friends, that this person fell into an addiction of alcohol and they are struggling to come out of it. And you know, when the person speaks, they speak and they cry. They feel the pain and they're like, I want to stop, but I cannot stop. I feel like letting go, but I don't know how to do. Even when I say I'm not going to do this anymore, they find themselves today, they will not, tomorrow they will not, then the next day they go back at it. And they say, I did it because I found my peace and comfort in it. At least I will drink and my head goes off a little bit and I am good to go. So many of us have led our friends astray and have caused our friends to actually seek counsel in the wrong places. That is how you find born agains in shrines, because you have spoken to somebody in a bar. Surely you found me in a bar. You've spoken to me. I will also take you where I know where I find counsel. If you came and spoke to me as peace, I'm saying me as an individual, certainly I'll tell you, let us pray about it. If I'm not able to handle, I will probably seek a person who is probably more experienced or who has probably gone through a similar experience, but somebody who is mature in their Christian walk to be able to actually speak to you and to walk with you through that season of difficulty. But I will not tell you, let us go to the shrine. Now, if you go out there and you find a person who you're seeking from counsel, and where they know how to get their counsel is from a witch doctor, certainly they are going to take you to a witch doctor. They're not going to tell you, let us go and pray. They will not say that, friends. They will actually take you where they know, where they think they get from their advice from, where they feel their issues are actually addressed and they feel a relief. So we need to be very careful and we need to be very mindful as we deal with brethren. Friends, if you know you're not able to help and walk with somebody, do not encourage them to share with you. Tell them, no. Please don't tell me. Let me take you to Brother Vincent. He will be able to help you. I trust him on this, and refer them to somebody who can be able to walk with them in this journey, other than you causing somebody to walk away from the path of salvation. Yeah? We need to be very careful, my brothers and my sisters. The other issue that I know that has actually led us to do some of the things that we have done is we are struggling because there is seemingly no remorsefulness from the other parties. Yeah? Whether it is me as peace, as a wife, or it is me, peace, as a sister that has hurt you, and there seems to be no remorse, it is causing us to actually continue to get hurt. But I will still come back to the issue that for me, where I have reached right now, my health is a priority. Let me tell you, friends, there is a very thin line between you who is apparently, quote in quotes, mentally stable, and the other person who has gone off a little bit, who is struggling with a mental illness or a mental disorder. There is a very thin line. People are actually struggling with very many mental health issues simply because of failing to deal with this matter here. So I usually say, and sometimes I have posted and said, my mental health matters. So for the sake of my mental health, I will choose to let go, because if I think about this, if I hold on to it for long, I am going to get more hurt and I'm going to get more bruised. I cannot handle it anymore. Okay? But the other thing that I also want to draw our attention to is the issue of us being able to be patient with each other. We need to be patient with each other. So you will say, but peace, I have been patient with this person. For how long am I supposed to be patient? Friends, God has been patient with us long enough, and he has never attached a time frame that now I'm going to stop being patient. Well, I've been patient for 5 years, now I am tired. No, patience is a fruit of the spirit. And we need to cultivate it in our daily lives, that we are able to be patient with our spouses, we are able to be patient with our brothers and sisters, we are able to be patient even with our co-workers, because people are bound to do things that are actually going to hurt us. So we need to be able to deal with that. Then you need to give yourself time. Allow yourself time. Sometimes we rush through things. And then we sit back and we say, I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have acted that way. Oh, I shouldn't have reacted this way. Sometimes it is good to give yourself time. Time will help you make a good decision. Time will help you get over some of these things here. You're saying things that you're going to regret. Sometimes it is good for us to learn how to give ourselves time. It is also good for us to understand why certain things have happened. Not to say we want to justify whatever has gone wrong, but we need to understand why certain things have happened. At this point, I will share the story before I forget as I wind up. There is a lady that I was told of. A friend told me about this lady whose husband apparently had an extramarital affair. He had a place of work, and he asked the wife to come and work with him, and the woman refused. She also had her work. So this guy is like, "Would you come and work with me? Instead of me hiring a secretary, you come and let's work together." The lady refused. And lo and behold, this gentleman hires a secretary who was a young lady. The lady had, of course, grown. And this young lady was making the tea for him, was actually ensuring the boss has gotten a meal at lunch. She was ensuring the office is organized. If he has appointments, she reminded him and all that and all that. The long story short, they actually had a child and another one, and they had 2 children. And then he had no way he could keep it. He disclosed it to the wife and told the wife, "You know what? I am very sorry. I fell and I have children out of this relationship I've been having with the secretary at work." The woman looked, of course, naturally, what do you expect the reaction to be? She was mad. She was angry. She ranted. She said whatever she would have said. Then later on, she goes back and she prays. Because thank God she was a believer. She goes back and prays and asks God to forgive. Give me the grace to forgive this person. He's also human. I am sorry for what I have said. Later on in her analysis, she says, "But I am to blame. I led him to it. I should have actually gone to work with him. He asked me and actually I refused. If I had not refused, probably I would have been able to redeem the marriage. This wouldn't have happened." So she tells the man, "Bring the children." Lo and behold, these little children are brought. Her children were of age. They had all grown. They had all left home. Many of them were actually out of the country. Actually, none of them was within the country. All of them were out of the country. And she falls sick. And who is helping her? It is these little children. She turns and is like, "Thank God for the gift of the children." Because the children are innocent. She was mature enough in her Christian walk to realize that actually the children are innocent. The anger we put out on the children is actually not called for. But it takes maturity, my brothers and my sisters. It takes maturity for you to be able to reason like that. It is not an easy pill for me or for anybody to actually swallow. But that was her story and her experience anyway. And today she lives with the children. She has made sure the children got to school, and they're the ones who are taking care of them. They have all grown old now. And these little children that the husband got out of wedlock are the ones taking care of them. And so like the children are innocent. They actually deserve a good future. They deserve a good education. They deserve this. If I had gone to work with him, this wouldn't have happened. She later on turns and blames herself. It takes grace. It takes grace. So sometimes we are pushing people away, and then we are not understanding why they are doing certain things that they are doing. We have had friends issues as small as people are failing to even prepare meals in their homes. As a wife, the man is complaining, "My wife cannot even cook food at home." But if you know the man wants you to cook the food at home, why don't you at least once in a while consider cooking that food? And so he's giving that as an excuse, quote in quotes, to go out and eat food from Peace, because Peace cooks very nice food. So I'll go to Peace. And then before long, things are happening with Peace. And in the guise of, you know what? Jen refused to cook food for me. So Peace cooks the food. So since she cooks the food, she will do everything. We need to be very careful. For our own selves, we need to first of all understand why the things that are hurting us are happening so that we are able to protect ourselves from it. Otherwise, it will continue to happen over and over again. Also, we need to understand and seek to find accountability partners. I have found that it is a very good thing for us as a couple. We have found out how to deal with certain things, not because we are actually a superstar or what. The struggles are real and they are there and they have happened, but we have the people that we are working with. Personally, I think I work very well with very small groups. I have 2 little small accountability groups, and they are 3-3. Usually, it's 3-3. Recently, I just sat and I was reflecting about it, and I'm like, how come? When I'm with the ladies, we are 3. When I'm with these other people, we are 3. When I'm with these other couples, we are 3. 3-3 usually. I don't work so well with the big numbers, but we are able to hold each other accountable. They are able to tell Reverend and they say, no, what, Reverend, here, I think this one here, this one here, our brother, here you have gone overboard. Here, I think you need to reconsider. Here, I think this needs to be dealt with and be addressed in this manner. And we are glad that we have them because we have held them accountable and they have held us accountable. But most importantly, we have been able to seek godly counsel from them. We are not getting counsel from anywhere else. We are able to actually pray with each other. We know the issues that each of us is struggling with, and I am able to present this matter before God. Interestingly, when we have a discussion among the 3 of us, it is difficult that you will find that discussion elsewhere. We have built a sense of trust amongst ourselves, so that we are very confident it doesn't matter what I say. Where I am with them, I know it is going to stay there. It will not be discussed elsewhere. So friends, it is good for us to find accountability partners. I know that men struggle very much in this area. Men want to pretend to be strong, but I can tell you in this generation, there is no people that I have found that are as hard as the men. You see walking around in their suits and in their neckties, very smart, but actually inside them, they are empty. Because they are going through struggles in their homes and they have no one to talk to, and they will say, but friends, you are just flesh and blood, so you are able to actually get hurt, and instead of you pretending you are dying. And we have seen many of them actually go. We used to talk about peer pressure with the young people. I work with young people, and we talk about peer pressure amongst teenagers and among the youth, but I can tell you there is a lot of peer pressure among the adult men now, especially those between the ages of 35 and 50. The struggle is real. When people are hitting middle-age crisis, my friends have actually bought land. My friends have built houses. My friends have got projects running. My friends have got stable jobs. My friends are doing, and then the comparison is coming in, and that is giving you a lot of pressure. Meanwhile, at home also, there is pressure from madam. And then you're struggling. There is pressure at work. What is happening to the men? We see them walking, but honestly, they are empty in them. They only have so much to offer us. I pray that we shall be able to get people that we can be accountable to. Take it one day at a time, friends. One day in the house of the Lord is better than 1,000 elsewhere. At God's own timing, he surely blesses us. And he has blessed us differently. While you're crying for not having A, B, C, D, what you have, somebody else actually doesn't have it. And somebody else is trusting God to have it. While you are saying this woman is so bad, but when you married her, she was not as bad. Probably there is something that you have not been able to address as a couple. You've not been able to speak over these things here, and that is what is causing this. Finally, as I conclude, there are 2 things that I would want us to actually consider to avoid getting hurt. Friends, let us learn to speak out. Speak out. Poor communication or lack of the communication is what is killing us. We are hurt and we expect the other people to read and to know that we are hurt. We are not actually communicating, but graciously, if the person has also communicated, please listen. Listen. listen and seek to address those issues there that are affecting this other party. It may be trivial to you, but it's not to them. So listen to them and address what it is for them, because for us, we are living not for each other if we are married, but we are living to fulfill the other party. So if I live to fulfill Reverend and he lives to fulfill me, then who is actually going to be there to walk around and say, no, I am looking for that? Because I live to see that he's actually well in every aspect of his life. And if that is his intention for me, then each of us is actually complete, because we are completing each other in one way or another. But we should also know that we are not going to be able to say that we are going to seek revenge. What has killed us most of the times is the fact that we are seeking to revenge. You've heard these statements here. They have done this to me, let them wait. Wait for me in season 2, in part 2. Wait for me, you're going to see. Wait for me around the corner, you're going to see. And we are working hard to revenge and to hurt each other. You get, when you do something wrong and your spouse says, like, do you remember last time when you did this to me? Friends, we are keeping a record of wrong. And the Bible is telling us not to keep a record of wrong. And we are not going to grow if we are going to continue living that way, but we're going to continue to bruise each other. We should seek not to revenge. We should ensure that we communicate about whatever it is. Do not wait for anything. Do not sit back and say, they will know. Friends, we are not gods that we are going to imagine and think for each other. We need to speak when we are not happy. Even God, after all, he knows our thoughts, but he still expects us to speak these thoughts out. Then we should be able to speak to each other and address these issues without us getting hurt and waiting for us to tear ourselves apart. And lastly, as I conclude, friends, we need to be able to pray. Pray for yourself, pray for each other on a daily. The struggles out are real, and people are having different challenges that they are going through. The least we can do is to actually make it a little bit better for them when they come back to us at home, or when we meet them at work, because we do not know the different struggles that each of us is actually experiencing. There is so much for us to be able to talk about that I am unable to actually share here with us. But quickly, that is what I can be able to say. That we can be able to look at. I would ask us to read the scripture in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 32, that encourages us not to actually continue to hurt each other, but rather it encourages us to be able to seek the good that comes out of each and every one of us, so that at the end of the day, each of us is seeking the welfare of the others. I can just read it, Ephesians chapter 4, verses 32, quickly, and then I'll keep quiet. 32, 31. I think it's actually verse 31. 32. And it says, and become useful and helpful and kind to one another, tender-hearted, compassionate, understanding, loving-hearted, forgiving one another, readily and freely, as God in Christ forgave you. As I conclude, that is how we can be able to deal with whatever it is without us actually getting hurt. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 32. May the Lord bless you.
Men, let's not die silently. Most of us put on those smart suit ties, and yet we are hurting inside. Let's find someone to talk to. Thank you so much. Let's give those virtual claps and flowers to Mrs. Peace Feta. She's done us so well. I'm so blessed as here listening in.